whatever it is you want to do, don't listen to rabbits. Because rabbits are going to be behind you telling you what you can and can't be. And you can be anything you want to be. If you want to be a doctor, you be a doctor. You want to be president, you be president. Whatever you want, if you want to be a teacher, librarian, that's what you be. But watch out for that rabbit, because people are always going to be behind you talking about, you dummy, you stupid little doctor, you crazy. Don't listen to that person. You just follow your dream. Final story. Storytelling itself, y'all, believe it or not, is an adult art. But we do it for children. And for 22 years, I tell stories. But it's an adult art. It's for adults. The kids are really just how we make a living. But I want to tell a story to the adults. And you young people, you listen because you'll get something from it too. But this is for the adults. And for you too. Once there lived an old man. And every day the old man would walk before the village, sit upon a stump at the edge to rest his old bones. His hair was the color of the clouds and his feet were wide because he never wore shoes. And the women would come by in the morning going to their gardens. And they would say, "Good morning, old father." He'd go, "Good morning." They say, "Hey, old father, will it rain today?" He said, "Oh yeah, rain today." And then the women would sing and dance songs of life and love and all of the things in life that makes love good. And then the men would come by with their nets going to the river to go fishing. And they would say, "Good morning, old father." He'd go, "Good morning." They say, "Hey, old father, will we catch fish today?" He said, "Oh yeah, 4 bellies tonight." And then the men would sing and dance songs of life and love and all of the things in life that makes love good. And then one day, a little boy came by. And the little boy said, "Hey, old father, I have something for you. My mother sent it. Here, take it." And the old man opened it, and it was a yam. And he ate that yam. Then he looked at the little boy and gave him a toothless grin. And the little boy said, "Hey, old father, will you tell me a story?" He said, "A story? I got a story for you. You're great to have an old man tell you a story. Sit at my feet. I'll tell you a story. When I was young, when I was proud." He always started his stories that way because he learned them that way. And he told that little boy stories about life and love and all of the things in life that makes love good. But he also taught him about self-respect and self-determination and respect for elders and respect for women and respect for people that didn't look like him. All kinds of stories. And one day, the little boy said, "Hey, old father, were you ever a little boy?" He said, "Yes, I was a little boy. Years ago, I was a little boy like you." He said, "But old father, you old. Look at you, you old. But me, I'm going to be young forever. I'm never gonna grow old." And he heard his mother call. Well, he got to the edge of the woods and he turned back around and said, "Hey, old father, if I come back tomorrow, you gonna tell me a story?" "Good, but you know what? You still gonna be old." "I'm gonna be young forever." Day by day, that little boy came and sat at the old man's feet. He even told his friends, "Hey, why don't you come listen to the old man tell stories? He tell good stories." But his friends would say, "We don't want to listen to no old man tell no stories. His feet probably stink. Old people smell, you know. They sit in the house and it's hot and they wrapped up and all of them. Be around the old people." But that little boy came. Sun upon sun went by. Moon upon moon went by. That little boy became a young man. And he didn't always have time to listen to stories. But whenever he didn't, he would walk by and wave at the old man. The old man would wave back. And he remembered those stories. Sun upon sun went by. That young man got married. And it was about that time that he noticed that the old man was no longer sitting on the stump. And when he inquired, he learned that the old man had made transition with the ancestors. And he was sad. But he remembered those stories. Sun upon sun went by. Moon upon moon went by. That young man got married and had children. And it was about that time that he noticed that the other friends that didn't hear stories were perishing. Some were killed, some were killers, some were in jail, and some had lost their mind, didn't know who they were. But he remembered those stories. Sun upon sun went by. His children had children. Moon upon moon went by. And before he knew it, he too became an old man. And when he became an old man, he walked before the village and sat upon a stump at the edge. And his grandchildren would come out. And his grandchildren would say, "Hey, Grandpa, will you tell me a story?" And he'd say, "Yes, you're great too much to have your grandfather tell you a story. Sit at my feet, I'll tell you a story. When I was young, when I was proud." He always started his stories that way because he learned them that way. And one day, his grandson said, hey, Grandpa, were you ever a little boy? And he said, yes, I was a little boy. Years ago, I was a little boy like you. He said, but Grandpa, you old. You've always been old, but me, I'm going to be young forever. Never gonna grow old. And he went to play with the other grandchildren. Well, that grandfather sat there and he watched his grandchildren play. And he noticed that he had taught them those games. Then he listened to the music, watched them dancing. But he had taught them that too. And as he sat there and listened to the music, he started to snap his fingers and move from side to side. Because inside of that old man's body was a little boy. So young people, soon as you get a chance, you get to your grandmother or your grandfather or great-grandma and great-grandpa and sit at their feet, tap them on the knee and say, Grandma, Grandpa, tell me a story about life and love and all the things in life that makes love good. And us not so young people, share your story with these children. You grandmothers, tell them about your grandmother that they'll never meet. Tell them about what real bread baking smells like coming from the kitchen. Not Mrs. Philbert's from a little tin thing. Real bread. Tell them what grandma's used to, that smock she used to wear. And not just that, but tell them about Grandpa. Grandpa couldn't write. But he woke up every morning praying for the day that his children would have opportunities to get an education like these children do. Tell them about the front room. Any of y'all know about the front room? At Grandma's house? The room with the plastic on it that nobody sat in. That was always clean. That's the front room. That's right. Tell them about that candy dish that was always in Grandma's house. The one that was great, that was 4 years old, that you had to dig out the bottom and pry it out. Y'all must be highbrow people. Y'all don't know about this stuff. Y'all must got that silver spoon that you got packed away. Tell them those stories about all those people they'll never meet. Because one day these children will be old just like you.